Growing up a witness, as a kid, you don't see a lot of people with doubts that's in your peer group because you're still young and you just go into the Kingdom Hall. You falling asleep in those board meetings. Sometimes, if somebody gave a good talk, you might listen or whatever as a kid, but time is just passing. But you come across these stories in the field service groups about people who left in 75. And I used to always hear, just say, for instance, one of my parents, the person who studied with him, he left in 75 because the end didn't come. So you would always hear that people was make like for the when you would ask additional questions on 1975, a lot of the friends or the brothers that was there at the time, they would always say that that wasn't an official teaching. They would always say that the 1975 teaching was just people who just made that up. But as I'm watching these videos on YouTube, I'm starting to realize that they actually did put their belief out there, and these governing body members, they always gaslight the masses. The terminology they use on these XJW sites and YouTube pages is the rank and file, and to me that fits perfectly because that's exactly what we are. Just when you think of a rank and file soldier, he's just expendable, and it's like we're the expendables. So I noticed that a lot of witnesses had doubts, and I would notice that I remember a couple in my old congregation. They had left the truth for 17 to I think 20 years. So what would make a person leave? And I still catch myself. I call it the truth, but it's not the truth. But we refer to the Jehovah Witnesses' beliefs as the truth. What would make a person leave for 2 decades? And I think most of it was like they had a lot of people had bad run-ins with elders early on. Some of the older generations, they would always have elders that was just tactless, that was just like dictators. And that's one of my experiences, that the elders was just so domineering, and they lack love. And you will find that because I moved around to many different congregations. You will find that you will find all it takes is one dominating elder and in a congregation to ruin it. But I mean that's a topic for another discussion though. But when it comes to the dates like 1914 and just some of the beliefs, and I know the organization would always have videos saying that, they would have like a scenario where somebody just have doubts about the certain beliefs. I remember one video in particular where this young guy had doubts because he didn't understand how the whole 1914 thing being the beginning of the end. So he came to one of his elders or his dad or one of them, and he expressed that he had doubts, and they would say, "Well, have you done research?" And he was, I guess he had a dumbfounded look on his face. So the elder suggested that he go to jw.org to do in-depth research to figure out how they came up with the just say 1914 beliefs, and going into the Daniel prophecy, and then going into all these prophecies that the witnesses jump to and fro from. And at the end of the video, of course, he came to his senses, and his faith was strengthened. But I always, even as a young man, it never made sense to me, because if you're having doubts with the Jehovah Witnesses, why would you go to their CD-ROM at the time or their website now? Why would you go to their information to get the objective truth? See, if you have a gripe with a product, or if you have a gripe with something, you have to get another opinion or multiple opinions and match it up with what other people are saying to come to a better understanding. And that never felt good to me. It never made sense that you would that's like you have a problem with a Coca-Cola product, and you actually going to Coca-Cola to find out more information about the product. I don't know. It just never made sense. It's like it's like Yelp reviews. Like if you want to learn about a restaurant, you don't go to the restaurant to ask, uh, is the food good? Of course, if you go to that restaurant to ask them, if the food good, if the food sucks, they're gonna still say it's the best thing in town. If you want to go to a bar, you don't go to the owners of that bar and ask, uh, is there a better bar in town? They'll say, nah, we're the best, right? Because it's all subjective. If you want to find out a real review of something, you would have to get an unbiased opinion. But the Jehovah Witnesses don't want you to do that, which was always weird to me. But you can't express that with the witnesses because everybody's listening. If you display some kind of doubt, you will be like soft shunned, and that's SOFT, soft shunned. Like meaning like people will kind of draw their distance with you because another thing about witnesses is you can be a Jehovah Witness in good standing, but if you're not so-called in the middle of the congregation or strong, people will not hang with you. If you're kind of a person that question things or have doubts or you don't just jump when they say jump, you're not a good witness. So you'll get invited places, but sparingly. So the Jehovah Witnesses always use the scripture about the Bereans. When the Apostle Paul, or Jesus' disciples, they preached to this group of people called the Bereans in Greece. And when they preached to those individuals, they didn't just take their word for it. They actually did research. They actually studied. And the Jehovah Witnesses like to apply that to themselves, but it don't fit at all because if the Bereans was here now and they seen and they all the allegations like the sexual cover-ups, the shunning policies, the blood transfusion issues, if a true Berean would take their information and weigh it against what the Bible really teaches, and they wouldn't choose to become Jehovah's Witnesses. So the witnesses are a delusional organization, and is delusional because it's man-made and it's run by men, and men have egos. So instead of just admitting that they don't have the truth, they don't have the answers, they just come up with any solution or any excuse.